This is a Subaru Outback that needs a wheel bearing in the rear. We went ahead and lifted it up. We got it on the jack stand. Also, always try to leave the hydraulic as a backup, and I've just been sketched out lately, so got two actually. Go ahead and take the wheels off. These will be 19mm bolts. I like to do little containers when I'm working. It's a nice day out, so I'd rather be here than in the garage, but this is a 14. We'll go ahead and take it off. Keep them organized, makes it easy. Let's go get something to hang that. You don't want to pull it on the So what we did just there is we hung this. I just used a zip tie. I think I actually used these as a snow chain, or tried to. So just first thing I saw. We don't want the line to get pulled because it can damage it, but this way that caliper can't go anywhere. Next in there, if you see this right here, we're going to want to take this out. Spray this with PB. Do it. Just do it. PB blaster, WD-40, any sort of thing to break it, because this bolt can be evil. So just give it a good soak with your favorite penetrating fluid. I'll be honest, I don't use a lot of penetrating fluid these days, but PB, it's easy to find. It's cheap enough. Buy the knockoff, they all seem to work about the same. And I'm also going to show you a secret that I have found for getting off stubborn bolts. So I've got the 10mm on, and I'm actually going to try to tighten it first. Yep, I actually just tightened it, which is great, because now that it's moving, I don't know why that seems to work. Somebody told me before it's because the bolt went in that way, so it wants to keep going that way, but I've had very good luck with that, especially with this bolt. I've had them break off, I've had them seize off, I've had the sensor itself get corroded into the knuckle. All of those are a nightmare to deal with. So once you're done and you get your bolt out, drop it on the ground and then put it in your little thing. And then if you can see, let's turn this home light on for you. This bit here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock it this way a little, and then I'm going to knock it that way a little, because if you just get in and pry, I've also seen it break. And this is a very delicate thing that does need to come out if we're removing the hub and a wheel bearing assembly. So be very cautious if you're in the Rust Belt. If you're lucky enough to be in Arizona or New Mexico, that'll probably just fall out, and this will be a very easy job. And there's your sensor. There we go. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way. Then we're going to remove the caliper bracket. It looks like the pads too. And actually, to remove the bracket, it's the same procedure. I guess I could have saved a step, but go ahead and remove them. It's just two 14mm bolts. There's one here, and there's one down here. Next, I'm going to just kind of smack this with the hammer a bit. there's 2 bolts. Let's see. You can put a bolt in here. They're actually threaded and it'll push it off. I think that's what we're going to have to do. So I can't remember the threads are off the top of my head. I'll put it on the screen. But these are threaded, and this is why. Look at that. And with that, we are now looking at the parking brake assembly. I'm going to try to not have to take this off. I'm probably going to have to, but I just want to save a step here. But this is the actual wheel bearing, and I can actually feel it. There is a little bit of grindy in there, but back here there are 4 bolts, and you don't access them from this side. You access them from the back, and they are 14 millimeters. And this is where the fun begins. I started to work without you guys. So knock out 2 of the studs because you're replacing them all anyway. I'm just going to hit them with a hammer because I'm not worried about any of this because it's all getting replaced. But go ahead and knock 2 of them out. And then we're going to install the new hub shocker because the black one that I had broke, which is incredible, if I'm honest. Did also get grade 8 hardware. And then we'll go ahead and tighten it up to the face. In case that camera didn't get all this, I knocked some studs out. I put grade 8 hardware in, and I'm going to hit it. Up. Like that. How many strikes do we think?
How many strikes for the last one?
1,000.
1,001.
Let's take apart some of that brake hardware. Oh my god, that was 1,000 times easier.
8, I think.
Yeah, and most of them weren't even good.
Well, we'll let that tool endorse this channel.
Yeah. Well, hang on, I'll show you. This, if you notice, is the same tool, just a different color. But it's actually cracked. I actually cracked the metal doing this same job on this same car last week.
On the other side.
On the other side. I don't know why. I've used this 100 times. I mean, maybe it just got fatigued. But, I mean, I did exactly what I just did on the other side. And I beat on it, what was I at, 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
I beat on it for like 2 days.
Well, this one went quicker.
Yeah. I did spray it with PB first. Because I was like, well, if I'm going to do the other one, I'll just go ahead and spray it. But, that feels good. One extra thought I had just now that's totally chronologically in order. I would support the bottom of the strut or the knuckle with the jack while smacking it, because that prevents the suspension from taking any of the load. However, we did get it off there just fine, but it's a good idea to do. So a couple things, we still have to take the nut off, but let's go ahead and take this off. Depending, you might have to take the parking shoe completely off. I chose not to, because the less I have to do, the better. We want to put in a 32 mil. If you're doing this without a power tool, I actually think you should break this nut loose first. But since we've got big old red here, go ahead and take it off. From there, push the axle out. Oop. There we go. It's then going to get caught in this face here. It's going to get seized to the backing plate. So, of course, more PV and a couple thwacks. I think I want to support it. Let's see what I have here. I bent the dust shield, but that's no problem. It's super thin metal. We'll bend it back. But before I go any further, I think I'm going to actually remove the drum so I can support further in and get a better grip on this before I bend it at all. And that looks like this. Very easy to do one-handed because I'm holding the camera with the other hand. And of course I will be showing how to put all this back together now, which is probably a good thing to know. Ooh, can I do this one-handed? So pull that spring back, that locks it in place. But it'll be a good thing to know for the video, so I don't mind doing it. I just was being lazy. Small sledge for that, big sledge for the other. And all that for this one stupid piece. So next we're going to want to clean this surface. You can see this rust here. Go ahead and clean it your preferred method. I'd recommend anti-seize while you're at it, and I'm going to still give it some of this. Apply liberally. I'm also going to clean this up. I'm going to mount it before I straighten it back out. If a few thwacks with a hammer will bend it, a few thwacks with a hammer will fix it. So don't get too discouraged. If you're really picky, you can replace this. It's not an expensive part, but I'm not going to do that today because there is no need. It's like a heat shield. It's just 10 little sheet metal, pot metal. Apply your favorite anti-seize. By the way, don't ever buy, when you go to the store and they sell you spark plugs, don't ever buy the little one, because you can buy this for like 3 times as much and it's like 1,000 times as much. So just buy this. When you apply this, it will get over everything, so be careful. And here's our new wheel bearing. Honestly, I don't know if I'd go OEM. I normally recommend OEM or equivalent, which is like Subaru doesn't actually make the part. Denso or NGK or somebody, or Bosch or something makes the part. That's fine, but the fact that this failed at 100,000 miles, there's probably better options out there. But yeah, we're going to assemble, which is the opposite of removal. I'll go ahead and show it though. And I do need both my hands for this. This is a, I believe, SKP or Moog. It's not Timken. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but I'll link in the description. I Appreciate Subaru going from a press in to a bolt in style. But if it's this much of a pain and you just end up having to press it anyway, it doesn't make much of a difference. So I don't get it. All that to say, I don't get it. We're gonna go ahead, put in the sensor back in that we cleaned and loved. And the dogs are gonna bark, but we'll go ahead and just put him in. I'll do that first, actually. Do not over torque this. It just needs to be in there. It likes to get stuck. Yeah, anti-seize for the win. We'll go ahead with the axle nut. You can see it's staked there, but I'm going to stake it again. And you just smack it with a screwdriver you don't like. Grab that. Push this back. Slide it over. Oh, I did it backwards. This little piece goes through the backing plate, and then like that, it almost looks like a nail actually, but it's not. It's just a little retaining clip that interfaces with the other clip. So you rotate it so that it's locked in and it can't go nowhere. I did this side, but these two little ones, they're identical. You just put them in. Oop. Get them to catch, and then bring them over. And then bring them over. I also like these locking pliers. They tend to grab a little better. But yeah, then we'll go ahead and put this bottom spreader plate in. And then just slots in there. And then there's a little hooky boy, this guy. We'll bring him over. Like that. And then there's those ones on the bottom. So the ones on the bottom are a little different, not very. There's this. Make sure that when you push up on it, here, let me show this. When you push up like that, make sure it's expanding so that adjustment will be easy. I'm gonna put it roughly where it was. I can tell by the grease. This end just free spins. It's not actually connected. It just is in there by force. Put it in. Put that in. And then there's this really long, there's this really long one, and it spreads the two. Oh my God, when? There we go. So I didn't catch it. But yes, make sure this is lined up. Actually didn't notice it until I went to put the rotor on, which is the next step. Put the rotor on. Ooh, one-handed. All right, we put the brake back on. Check everything is good. We'll go ahead and put the wheel on, get it off the jack stand, and then put it back on the ground. You can hear the ambulance going by because I live next to a hospital, but hope this video helped you. Thanks for watching.